Paul Anka's journey begins in Ottawa, Ontario, on July 30, 1941, in a modest but deeply loving Lebanese-Canadian household. His father, Andy Anka, owned a bustling local restaurant where the air was always filled with the rich aromas of Middle Eastern cooking and the chatter of happy customers. His mother, Camelia, created a warm home where traditions, family values, and music were woven into daily life. Paul was the oldest of 3 children, and with that came an early sense of responsibility, but also the freedom to dream big. Even as a boy, Paul was drawn to the spotlight. He sang in the St. Elijah's Syrian Orthodox Church Choir at just 11 years old, where the echo of his young voice filled the sanctuary and sparked something deep inside him. At home, he'd study records, mimicking the smooth phrasing of Nat King Cole or the effortless charm of Frank Sinatra. He learned piano and guitar, teaching himself not just the notes, but the emotions behind them. His first audiences were family and customers at his father's restaurant, where he would sometimes serenade diners, earning smiles, applause, and tips in coins. By his early teens, Paul's ambitions had outgrown his hometown. At 14, with determination that belied his age, he convinced his parents to let him visit his uncle in Los Angeles. It wasn't just a vacation, it was a mission. He made connections in the music industry, knocking on doors and handing out demos. His break came when Don Costa of ABC Paramount Records heard him sing and saw potential in the young Canadian with a natural stage presence. His first single fizzled, but Paul refused to be discouraged. In 1957, inspired by an innocent crush on an older girl named Diana Awab, he wrote, "Diana." The song was pure teenage longing, and it struck a universal chord. It exploded onto the charts, selling over 10 million copies worldwide. Suddenly, the shy boy from Ottawa was a 16-year-old superstar, chased by screaming fans and invited onto every major television show. Paul followed Diana with a string of timeless hits: "You Are My Destiny," "Lonely Boy," "Put Your Head on My Shoulder," and "Puppy Love." His clean-cut charm and heartfelt lyrics made him one of the most popular teen idols of the late 1950s. But Paul was more than just a voice. He was a writer, an arranger, a businessman in the making. At a time when many teen idols were content to perform songs written for them, Paul insisted on creating his own material, ensuring that his music carried his own voice and vision. His songwriting soon extended beyond his own career. In 1959, he wrote "It Doesn't Matter Anymore" for Buddy Holly, only for tragedy to strike when Holly died in a plane crash just weeks after recording it. In an act that stunned the industry, Paul donated all royalties from the song to Holly's widow, a gesture that revealed the empathy behind the entertainer's polished dot. In 1971, he wrote "She's a Lady" for Tom Jones, another global hit that further proved his versatility, and his talents weren't limited to pop ballads. He composed Johnny's theme for The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson, a melody that became a fixture of American television for over 30 years. But perhaps his most famous contribution came through his friendship with Frank Sinatra. They met in the late 1950s, forming a bond built on mutual respect. In 1968, Paul adapted a French song into a powerful English ballad. The lyrics, tailored specifically for Sinatra, became "My Way," a song that would define Sinatra's legacy and become one of the most recorded tracks in music history. Paul later said that writing "My Way" was like giving Sinatra his life story in 3 minutes. As the 1960s gave way to a new era of rock and counterculture, many of Paul's contemporaries faded, but Paul adapted. He shifted into adult contemporary music, maintained a loyal audience in Las Vegas, and embraced his role as both performer and storyteller. His concerts weren't just about the songs, they were about the journey behind them, filled with anecdotes from his decades in show business. Behind the glamour, though Paul's personal life had its share of challenges. In 1963, he married Inde Zogub, a former fashion model. They had 5 daughters, and for nearly 40 years, she was his anchor. But the constant demands of touring and recording took their toll, and in 2000, the marriage ended in divorce. His second marriage, to Swedish model Anna Berg, was short-lived and ended in a bitter custody battle over their son Ethan. In 2017, after years of legal wrangling, Paul won full custody, calling it one of the most meaningful victories of his life. Even in later years, Paul never lost his curiosity for reinvention. In 2005, he released Rock Swings, an album of contemporary rock songs transformed into big band arrangements. It was an unexpected hit, drawing praise for its creativity and proving that Paul Anka was still capable of surprising audiences. Now, in his 80s, Paul lives more quietly, focusing on his health and his family, especially his bond with Ethan. While his name may not be as instantly recognized by younger generations, his influence runs deep. From teen idol to songwriting legend, Paul Anka's career spans more than 6 decades. Testament to talent, adaptability, and relentless drive. He has spoken openly about the loneliness that can accompany fame, the way it can isolate even the most beloved performers. The industry that once couldn't get enough of him has largely moved on, offering few tributes to his monumental contributions. Yet Paul carries it all: the triumphs, the heartbreaks, the applause, and the silence, with dignity. And for those who know his songs, his voice, and his story, Paul Anka will always be the man who wrote the soundtrack to countless memories, in his way.